So we're going to be getting into it. We're going to be discussing Pam and Tommy.
To my knowledge, she hasn't.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No.
shit, I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
No, bad, bro.
No problem. So we're going to be discussing Pam and Tommy. Pam and Tommy, like we said, is the Hulu original series starring Sebastian Stan and Lily James. I heard about this series. Some photos got released of first, promotion for the movie. Let me shut this off. Promotion for the movie. Showing Sebastian Stan as Tommy Lee and Lily James as Pamela Anderson. It was dead on. It was pretty spot on, especially Lily James.
Lily James. Yeah, Lily James is unrecognizable. The prosthetics that they put her under for the makeup job that they have, it's like seeing Pam Anderson in the 90s back on screen.
Absolutely. Like you see some side by side comparisons. See, I'm gonna pull up a photo. And yeah, you see kind of a side by side comparison. Yeah, it's pretty close. Her there, as the character. I mean, it was scary good. And Tommy Lee originally, James Franco was supposed to play Tommy Lee Jones.
Ooh.
But I think maybe certain everybody knows the situations that kind of happened there. So so that's probably why they didn't really continue with him there, and they replaced him. I think Sebastian Stan. I mean, he's kind of got the kind of big head like Tommy Lee Jones. I think. I said Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee.
Yeah, Tommy Lee. So he's kind of got a little bit of the big head like him a little bit. So it's kind of similar somewhat.
Even if he doesn't like dead on matches Tommy Lee, I think the performance it does kind of nail it.
Yeah. And this is a 8-episode miniseries discussing all about the infamous sex tape of Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. And for people who don't know, this was like a big event in the 90s that, to offer a comparison. It was kind of like what the Kim Kardashian sex tape was in like the 2010s. It was like this huge, big thing. Everybody was sharing it around. That, or I guess also the R. Kelly sex tape was also another like big one too that people shared around a lot and people saw. So, and what I love about really this series is how it really taps into a lot of different things culturally that we're still having discussions about today. And also it being a series that takes place in the mid to late 90s, 95, 96, in that period of time. This was also the age of the burst of the dot-com bubble, where, the people, internet was like this huge new thing, kind of scary to a lot of people. People didn't know how to really use it. And it was this kind of scary new thing for a lot of people, and how the sex tape really was, this major event that marked kind of this landmark of what's fair use, because, this person who stole the sex tape put it on, was put it on the internet, and then people took images from that sex tape being on the internet and tried to sell them. Penthouse did that. And then it kind of got into conversations like, even though it's stolen,
people were like burning, making copies of the tape and selling them for their own profit. It pretty much spread like wildfire in the 90s.
Yeah. So it kind of brought into, what is fair use? Can you even use these images? Is it okay for them to use it? Is it legal? So it kind of, brought this kind of new discussion in the internet age, of that type of stuff. So that was very interesting to see. And you also see, like, with the sex tape of, the perspective of Pamela Anderson from, her being the woman in the tape, and then Tommy Lee Jones being the guy, and them kind of having that discussion of what it's like to be a woman when these kind of things happen. Because now in 2022, we've had a lot of celebrities, with their nudes leaked and other sex tapes and things like that. And, the discussion, is it right to even look at these things? Because these were private things, that these people sent to other people, and because they, cared about them, and had an intimate relationship with the person. And when their situation, when they got hacked, it was like the thing is like, well, you shouldn't have been taking the pictures in the first place. It's kind of your fault that you even took these pictures. And Pamela Anderson is like, this is going to really reflect more poorly on me than it is you, because you're the guy, in this situation. And nobody really, I mean, it's just like that conversation in Red Rocket. It's like, nobody gives a fuck about the guy in the porno. People just care about what the woman looks like. So it's like, and Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, and there's a lot of scenes on in the show where it is pretty much just how much of that double standard existed back then, and it still exists to this day. Because you see like interaction with Tommy Lee, and their fans are coming up to him and was like, "Hey man, nice cock,"
Yeah.
or "Hey man, you're a fucking hero," and she's looked at like this harlot, this whore for you know for this tape that was supposed to be private.
Yeah. And Pamela Anderson at the time, she was the big bombshell, like this
Mhm.
blonde, and she had, big breast, and she was the prototypical blonde bombshell type person. And she was on this
Mhm.
show Baywatch, which nobody was watching Baywatch for the acting. I mean, people were watching
Oh
it.
fuck no.
People were watching it to see slow motion people running on the beach, especially Pamela Anderson and her breasts, jiggle kind of when she was running. That's what people mainly were watching this show for. You know what I mean? That's what it was. And so you see how it also came at a stressful what this tape did to them and put such a stressful time in their lives of her
Mhm.
trying to make more of a legitimate career. Okay, want to transition from Baywatch, to doing more legitimate movies and shows.
I
Um,
mean, because this is set like during the couple months before the release of that movie she did, Barbed Wire,
yeah,
and it's like this tragic thing because we know now that the movie was kind of a bomb. It was critically panned. It's a terrible movie, and just seeing Lily James like wistfully talk about, hey, once the movie comes out, all of this will be behind us, and knowing the reality,
yeah. I've never seen
like
Barbed Wire. You've seen it?
it
Oh,
sucks.
I've never seen it. How did you see it?
Oh, I think it was like playing on Showtime one night when I was like younger.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen. I mean, I'm interested to check it out now because I looked up the
Mm,
cast of the movie and I was like, Tamir Morrison's in the movie, so I was like, Boba
mm.
Fett's in the movie, so it makes me kind of want to check it out a little bit. I wonder who's acting
Oh,
is.
you mean not Cliff Curtis?
Yeah, not Cliff Curtis. I wonder who acting is better, Tamir Morrison or Pamela Anderson. I wonder. But I wanted to try to check that out. But yeah. Um, Also, so with the kind of this story, it's also based on it's primarily based on a new Rolling Stone article about the whole
Mhm.
events of what happened and how the tape was stolen and the distribution of the tape. And you kind of follow a main character at first. You don't really follow Pam and Tommy. You follow a character played by Seth Rogen. His name in the movie is Rand, and he's a
Yeah, you follow Rand Gautier, who is a contractor that was hired by Tommy Lee to like make this little love palace inside of his mansion, and because Tommy Lee's kind of a rock star millionaire, he's also kind of an asshole and just fires them out of the blue one day.
yeah.
And so to get revenge, Rand decides to break into Tommy Lee's house and steal this safe that happened to have the tape inside of it.
Yeah, because he's all about getting revenge, karma, and like I
Hmm.
said, he's this wealthy guy, thinks he can kind of step on people and get away with things because him being this rock star guy, that's kind of maybe what he's done his whole life.
Yeah,
And
the first episode, it doesn't really deal with Pam and Tommy. It more follows Rand's story and just gets you on his perspective.
Yeah. And at first, you do kind of understand his perspective at first.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Being a guy who stepped on and go like, hey, I did all this work building this thing. And yeah, I want my money. You know what I mean? And the fact that he just didn't even pay him, kicked him out of his house. Guy comes back to get his tools and he pointed a shotgun at his face. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, fuck this dude. So you're kind of more on his side of things. But then as he steals the tape, steals the safe with the tape in it, which he didn't even know about, but he opens it,
Hmm.
then all of a sudden just sees this tape, puts it, plays it, and just sees like, holy shit. And then he has tons of connections in the porn industry. One of the being one of this major guy played by Nick Offerman, who's this porn director, porn producer,
Hmm.
and with
Who is so great on this.
oh yeah, absolutely. And they kind of go around trying to ask different people, okay, who's gonna distribute this, who's gonna put this out, and they're just met with a sea of rejections because they go like, well, no, I mean they didn't sign a release, so why the fuck would I'm not getting my ass sued for that? Fuck that. I'm not getting sued out my ass. But like I said, you are kind of on his side at first with the karma and him getting back at Tommy
Hmm.
Lee, but with him doing this tape and the fact that it was like, but this is my tape. I'm the one that was selling this, and when he sees other people bootlegging the tape, it's kind of like this is my property. It's like no, it's not. You stole it, and this is somebody else on this tape that they didn't have consent to be out there, and you took it and
Hmm.
sold it for your own gain. And especially when it's his wife, who they're separated. He's too broke to even get a divorce from his wife. His wife is played by Taylor Schilling, who's Erica. She was people might know her. She was in Orange Is New Black, where she was Piper in that. And so she says like she gets furious when he says like, well, hey, I was the one that released the tape. She was like, they never consented to that. They never, signed a release.
Hmm.
I mean, you're a
Yeah,
scumbag.
and they point out all the like hypocrisy that Rand uses to justify himself. It's like, hey, I was in porn. It's like no big deal. It's just, yeah, people see each other naked all the time. There's differences on a porn set. You have like paperwork, you have releases, you consent to have this thing be seen. They never did, and that's something that I think is a little bit shady with the production of the show, because uh, a lot of people don't know this. The show wasn't made with the permission of Pamela Anderson.
Yeah. Tommy Lee Jones, I mean, he had some involvement in it, and he said he kind of gave his thumbs up on the show. I was
Mhm.
reading, but yeah, Pam, I mean, she didn't want to have
Yeah,
anything to
from
do with it. Yeah.
from what I've heard, they reached out and she just never got back to them. I keep hearing conflicting stories on both sides of that.
Okay. Yeah, so it's almost like it's a similar situation. It's like, yeah, this story's gonna be told. Yeah. But and then you also see as the series continues, Tommy Lee Jones. I keep calling him Tommy. I mean Tommy Lee. I'm so used to saying Tommy Lee Jones. Somebody should Photoshop Tommy Lee Jones's head on Tommy Lee. I keep calling him Tommy Lee.
Especially on that scene in the second episode.
Where his dick is talking.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, you kind of see with Tommy Lee, like this is in the '90s. This is kind of in the '90s. It was phasing. It was kind of the whole hair metal phase that he was in the '80s, where he was with Motley Crue, is kind of phased out now. Now in the '90s, it's all about the
Yeah,
grunge rock, pop
yeah,
punk.
this is this is a very fascinating point in Tommy Lee's life, because this is after the heyday of Motley Crue. This is when hair metal was kind of going out of style. It was all about like Nirvana, like Stone Temple Pilots, fucking uh
Soundgarden.
Soundgarden. They have like this argument with one band that is reserved their studio. I think it was Third Eye Blind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like so he's kind of losing his stardom, being this
Hmm.
huge star that he was, and he's like, I sold all these copies of my album, and I was this big hit, but then now his star is kind of fading, and he's with Pamela Anderson, whose star is kind of rising at this time in the '90s, and you kind of see how that kind of contrast, and I think that's a very interesting look. You also see, of course, we get to Pamela Anderson, and you kind of see her career and how she kind of started. In those kind of moments, I think it gets into because this is 8 episodes. I think towards the latter part of this miniseries,
Hmm.
like episode maybe 6 or 7 or 5, some of the stuff I think could have been condensed. Did it? I think it felt
Hmm.
like at times it did it really need to be 8 episodes. It's like I don't think so. I think some of the stuff you maybe could have because at first when the series it's very hour long episodes, but then
Hmm.
towards the kind of latter part it's kind of 30 minutes ish.
Yeah, the episodes get shorter the longer the show goes on. I think a lot of that is owed to changing directors on each episode, because the first three are all done by Craig Gillespie, who did I Tanya with Sebastian Stan, also who directed Cruella, who did the Fright Night remake, and I think he has a very specific style that he used in those first three episodes. You could pretty much do this as a companion piece to something like I Tanya, whereas the following five, I think they kind of lose focus. They kind of get bogged down in all of the side plots that are going on. So it feels like there's too much and also not enough time.
Yeah, because yeah, I don't really know much about the careers of Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee. I
Hmm.
knew Pamela Anderson, of course, Bombshell, Baywatch, You know what I mean? I knew all that stuff about her, and then Tommy Lee was again the drummer from Motley Crue. But kind of their careers a little bit, and the impact of this tape, and the damage it was, and also how this tape spread, throughout the entire
Hmm.
valley, in California, and then all these people learning about it. Late night show comedic writers finding out about it, watching it at work. Reporter finds out about it, wants to report on it, and goes like, "Well, this isn't news." It was a woman at was it the L.A. Times, a reporter from L.A. Times in the show, and you kind of see her history with men in the show, and
Hmm.
especially Pam, being this, like I said, how much of a double standard is her being on this tape, her trying to be taken more seriously in the acting world.
Yes, and not even just being on that tape before that, because I think she posed for Playboy, I think like 5 times at the time the tape came out,
Mm,
and there's a point where it gets in the hands of Bob Guccione, who's the CEO of Penthouse, and they tried to sue him to get custody of the tape back to like prevent him from publishing images from it.
mm,
And that's a heartbreaking scene in I think the sixth episode, where it's about Pam Anderson's deposition regarding it, and it's like every single shitty scene you get of somebody who's a victim of sexual assault getting victim blamed. It's gut wrenching. I had to like take a walk from it for a second.
yeah, that was one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the show, of them like watching the tape in front of her, and just the embarrassment, on her face as you see it, and and just also the discussion around, like, okay, posing in Playboy, which she was never fully naked in Playboy at all. She was never even fully naked.
Yeah, and yeah, and they have flashbacks to that scene, and it is very professional. It's like she never really posed fully nude on there. It was all like professional. It was always done with consent. It never pushed boundaries of what anyone was uncomfortable with.
Yeah. And the lawyer saying that isn't posing, like, if you did pose in Playboy, you pose nude, isn't that in itself, a sex act, because he's asking the question, have you ever been paid for, sex, or which, even if she did pose nude, that's not sex. There's no sex involved
And
posing.
it's yeah, and it's also none of your fucking business and not really relevant to that case.
Yeah. And so you see all this, legal trouble that they have to go through with the tape, and goes like, but it's our tape, our, what I mean, we're on it. Why can't we just get it back? Why can't we just sue these people and win, and have it be done with? And you see all this stress that it puts on them, their relationship, because like you said, with Tommy Lee, he's like, well, hey, I'm on that tape too, but she tries to explain the double standard. Then when he goes out, a person goes like, that was the best thing you did since Girls, 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 and he's like, wow, that was really the best thing. I mean, that was all the way in '87. That
That
was
was
like 9 years ago, bro. Like, he just beats the shit out of the dude. So he's feeling some type of way about that. Of like, I mean, in a way, it did kind of, he kind of regrets it at first, but it does kind of help his
yeah,
career and his status.
yeah, and there's a scene like towards the end of the miniseries where it's like they try to like get away, and she finds Tommy Lee at the bar just bragging about the tape with like a whole bunch of strangers at this bar,
Mm.
and it's like, oh fuck you, dude.
Because I mean, they said, like she said, they look at you like a hero. Because everybody, I mean, everybody, pretty much every guy really wanted to have sex with Pamela Anderson. I mean, she was one of the hottest people at the time. Yeah, so it's really good performances. I think by
Mhm.
Lily James, by Tommy Lee. I think Sebastian Stan. I good to see him kind of really venturing out, doing some different stuff. Just also seeing another Hulu original that we talked about, Fresh, which was also, I think he
Mm.
was pretty good in. And then this is kind of a
Yeah,
departure even from that.
yeah, it's always fun to see the guys that I think get a lot of flack for being in stuff like Marvel, even though he's legitimately great in every Marvel thing he's been in. It's nice to see an actor like Stan get to stretch his legs acting wise.
Yeah. And Lily James. I mean, I'm trying to think of the stuff I had saw her in prior. I remember she was in Cinderella, but I didn't see Cinderella. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, she was in Cinderella. She was in I think she was in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I think I think Baby Driver. She was the love interest in that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Yesterday, that one where it was the like that the everyone forgets the Beatles thing.
Ah, okay. I didn't see that
And
one.
she was the and she, it's a shockingly good movie, and she's probably one of the best things about it.
Okay, I didn't see that one, and I love the Beatles. I really do love the Beatles,
Mm.
but I didn't see that one. I did see Baby Driver. I saw Pride and Prejudice years ago. I think I just saw it when it came out and never went back to it.
Mm.
Y-
And she was in the second Mamma Mia movie.
Okay, I definitely didn't see the second Mamma Mia movie.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I think she's also very wonderful. As Pamela Anderson. Do you think she gets the voice down kind of well? Because I know Pamela. I mean, she's known for kind of having a little bit of the ditzy kind of blonde kind of voice, a little bit.
Yeah, I think she nails it physically and with the voice performance. And I think James plays Pam Anderson as a little more self aware than a lot of what Pam Anderson's acting in like films and the television shows she's been in. I think she plays her a lot more self aware than we would ever think of Pam Anderson.
Yeah, about kind of like she's a person that really cares about her career, cares about her image.
Mhm.
She doesn't just want to rest on yeah, her good looks.
Yeah, she understands that large part of what got her to this level of fame was her physical appearance, and she wants to branch outside of that.
Yeah, and you see that, and another kind of a heartbreaking scene is when she really practiced for this monologue and she wants to deliver it on the show. But then she goes up to the directors and was like, okay, hey, I mean, I'm ready for my big scene. The monologue is ready. And they go, yeah, but that's okay. We'll just have you just run on the beach again. We'll just do that and shelve that. And you see how really crushing that is for her.
Hmm.
And I thought that was also another kind of heartbreaking scene there, very much so. And to see the whirlwind romance that was Tommy Lee and Pam was also something. Them meeting and them just being together and having all this fun, and then they kind of it kind of comes to a point where they realize they don't even really know much about each other. Like,
It is like it's like if you look up shotgun wedding in the fucking dictionary, it's just a picture of Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee.
yeah,
Because I think in real life it was like over the course of like 4 days where they met and then got married in Mexico. And it's this really awkwardly hilarious scene where they're just like on the plane back to LA and they're just like, so what's your favorite movie?
yeah. What's your favorite movie? Yeah. Yeah. What you like to do? Yeah. What's your favorite color?
It's like asking all those questions on a first date after you've already tied the knot.
Yeah. So that was very interesting. I think the show balances humor very well in it. I think
Hmm.
also, which is pretty nice.
Hmm.
And yeah, I very much kind of enjoyed that. And there are very surreal moments, like you mentioned. There's a scene where his dick is talking, which is kind of the only time I feel.
His dick is talking, having a full on heart to helmet conversation with him, and his penis is voiced by Jason Mantzoukas from the League, from Big Mouth. And sorry, ladies, but it's a fake dick.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. So and then
Yeah, it's a fake dick.
and they do a lot of nude scenes in here, like Lily James. You see her and her prosthetic boobs and things like that.
Hmm.
So they do some nude scenes here. Thank you, Javon Good, for the 100 bits, man. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for the lurk, Terry Thompson. Thank you for the lurk, man. Yeah. So they do kind of a lot of those. Any negatives for you?
I think I already touched on my negatives. I think that for how tight and how focused the first three episodes are, I think it does kind of go off the rails. It kind of loses focus with just the pure metric, like truckload full of subplots that are just backed into this show's driveway. I think it does kind of lose focus until uh, I'd say the last three episodes. Even though I think the last five episodes are not as strong as the first three, I do think there are still moments in all of them that are legitimately brilliant. Like you have Lily James' performance during the deposition episode. You have Taylor Schilling calling Seth Rogen's Rand out on his bullshit, which is amazing and super cathartic. And you have just these incredible performance and chemistry with Sebastian Stan and Lily James. I think the show it's an entertaining watch, but I also don't think you're really missing anything if you. I don't think it. I think it's like unfocused in what it's trying to say and do. So I'd say it's a solid. It's like the highest of stream hits I can give it.
Mm. Yeah, I would agree. Maybe if you did maybe 2 hour movie, 2 hour and 10
Mm-hmm.
movie, maybe you could have just covered a lot of this stuff. Did you maybe need the 8 episodes? Maybe, maybe
I
not.
think 6 hour long episodes perfect with a story like this.
Mm,
It would have been like more tight, more focused, or maybe just have the same director do all 8.
yeah. And did you read the article that it was based on? Because I was reading it, and it's very interesting. All the stuff that happened, and him being, like the guy Rand, and he owed money to this mobster and loan shark, and he had to work as a what do you call it,
He had to work
enforcer.
as a debt. He had to work as a debt collector, which is a hilarious scene that's handled in this.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Seth Rogen at all people trying to get money out of you. I mean, he was like, wow, yeah, with kind of like a mullet. He's like still kind of got like a
With like
mullet.
yeah, with a terrible mullet.
Yeah,
I mean, all mullets are terrible, but still.
yeah. But yeah, I would give it high stream it. Um, yeah, I had the kind of the same issues with you, but there's some really good performances, really good moments in here, and then even with Sebastian Stan, like the moment towards, I think it was the last episode, the argument that he had with her.
Oh, yeah, which is something that I think the show should have touched on a little more because Tommy Lee, he does have a well documented history of domestic violence against a lot of his partners, and I think you should have touched on that a little more in this show.
Mm. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I guess yeah, that would have been interesting to to explore in the show, possibly. But yeah, I liked a lot of the stuff the show touched on. Like I said, the .com bubble, and then that guy that played the head of the IEG. Man, he just had such a
Oh
punchable
yes,
fucking face. Oh my god, I want to
yes,
punch him.
he's so punchable, and I couldn't remember where I saw that actor, and I'm it was one of the guys. Oh, it's Fred Heitinger, who was in Fear Street in the Fear Street movies.
Mm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was. Oh my god, that smile and that hair. Oh my god, he looked like.
That smirk. He looks like every single punchable frat bro that said, "You can't hit me. My daddy is gonna sue you."
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I just was like, at all the people, I was like, man, Tommy Lee whoop his ass. But yeah, but yeah, so that was like you had like a good villain, they like the lawyers and all these people they were kind of going against there, and bringing into the age that we have now of you have like people who do get news now. You had to come up with like this revenge porn law that people can't share images
Mhm.
of people that they got. So yeah, so yeah, high streaming for me, high streaming for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Javon Good says, "Damn, I saw this show. Could have been on the review." Yeah, would have liked to have you on the review.
Oh
Would love to
man.
have you said. First half of the show is better than the last half of the season. Yeah, yeah, agreed the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and a lot of that is owed to, I think, consistent direction from Craig Gillespie, who did all the first 3 episodes.
yeah.